Amazon S3 is the foundational product in the Amazon Web Services lineup. Amazon S3 is well known and well regarded. It is the bedrock for most of the Amazon cloud computing services available. Without it, many web applications that we use would not function, including Amazon.com itself. In this video, you will master Amazon S3 like a pro. We will start from the basics, and by the end of the video, you will have all the information that you require for S3. You will master every concept with a plethora of examples. Hello everyone, I am Mariam from Data is Good, working as a data science evangelist. At Data is Good, we have trained thousands of students in our live classes and helped them make successful data science careers. If you are new here, then please do not forget to subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to get all the latest updates and new content. In this video, we will talk about Amazon S3, that is also called Amazon Simple Storage Service. So let us get started with the agenda of this video. Firstly, we will look at how things used to work before S3. We will be also understanding cloud computing. We will start with Amazon Simple Storage Service. We will also learn why we should use Amazon Simple Storage Service. Next, we will talk about buckets and objects in S3. We will be configuring by creating a bucket and uploading an object in our bucket. Then we will look at different storage classes, access points, and bucket policies. We will look at cross-region replication and features of cross-region replication. Then configuring cross-region replication in the AWS console. Versioning in S3. What is transfer acceleration in S3? The benefits of using transfer acceleration. And lastly, we will look at the outcome. So without any further delay, let us get started. We will start by understanding what exactly Amazon S3 is. But before we start with what S3 is, we will learn how things used to be before S3. So before S3, companies used to face a very hard time in storing and managing huge amounts of data. In the early 2000s, it was very expensive to manage huge data in the repositories, because of which companies used to find it difficult to manage applications and deliver content to their clients. It was also difficult to back up emails and files, which required a lot of storage space. So in short, it was not easy to manage many files, and the cost which the company had to incur, that was also quite high. So companies used to face many problems. But then came a solution in the form of cloud computing. Now we will learn what exactly is cloud computing. So we all know that the way data is stored in the cloud is very different from the way data used to be stored in repositories. When it comes to cloud computing, data is not stored in repositories. Users, instead of storing files on a proprietary hard drive or local storage device, they store data on cloud-based storage. This allows the users to save data over the internet because users can store, access, and manage data quite easily. And users, well, they do not need to save data on the hard drive. To store data in cloud computing, the user just needs an electronic device having internet access. And then the user can easily access data and the software programs. So basically, storing on cloud means storing data over the internet. We can easily store large amounts of data without worrying about the storage capacity. And now it will be easier for us to understand what Amazon Simple Storage Service is. So we will start with the main topic of this video, which is what is S3? Well, the way we can store data in cloud computing, in the same way, Amazon's simple storage service gives us the facility to store, manage, and retrieve any amount of data that we want from anywhere in the world, online. In Amazon S3, data is stored in the form of objects. Now, we should keep in mind that S3 stores data using the internet, and we can store our data or our files up to 5 terabytes in size. Amazon itself uses S3 to store data and run its websites. S3 service is getting extremely popular, and every year the number of users using the services that is growing. It is a very useful service and makes our work easier. Some well-known companies which use Amazon S3 to store data are Netflix, Google Drive, Pinterest, and Tumblr. So we have already talked about Amazon S3, and now we will talk about some benefits of using Amazon S3. The S3 service of AWS is really popular because it has many advantages. We will start with learning the benefits of S3. So coming to the first benefit. The major benefit of using S3 is users pay for the amount of data that they store. The second benefit is there are no charges, which implies there are no fixed charges which a user needs to pay when using Amazon S3. Now, we can add as much data as we want to store, as there is a lot of capacity and it can store large data very easily. The reason we can store huge amounts of data easily is because of scalability. It means we can easily increase or decrease the scale of our storage resources up and down, and we can meet the fluctuating demands when we need them. We can understand it with the example of Netflix. Now, we all are well aware of Netflix, and I'm sure we all love spending time watching our favorite movies or web series. It is one of the most popular streaming services out there. As of 2020, Netflix has more than 3,781 movies and many web series as well. All the content is of high quality, and Netflix keeps uploading new content every week or every month. And we can see that we can store huge data easily. The data stored in AWS S3 is extremely safe, and it provides encryption for storage and transit as well. In S3, data is stored in buckets, and we can take a copy of the data or duplicate it as well, which means we can access it with no redundancy. So these are the important benefits of using S3. Great, we saw what S3 is, and now we will learn another important concept of S3, and that is objects and buckets. So in S3, data is not stored in the form of files, but it is stored in the form of buckets and objects. Wondering what that is? Well, don't worry at all. We will talk about buckets and objects in which data is stored, and your question will be answered. Firstly, we will talk about buckets. So, S3 buckets, they are nothing but containers in which users save the data in the form of objects. Buckets also provide a system that is necessary to control and access it. Amazon S3 buckets have unique and different names. It means in a given region, there cannot be an Amazon bucket of the same name as your bucket. When we are storing data on the bucket, we get to choose in which region we want to save our data. In different regions, charges are different to store the data. So if we are looking to minimize the costs, then we should choose the region which is geographically closest to our region. Amazon S3 offers object-based storage, which means the files that we store, they are stored in the form of objects. We can use the Amazon S3 bucket to store our documents, photos, videos, and other important data. There is no limit on storing the number of objects that we want to store in the bucket. Each object in S3 is distinguished by a unique key that recognizes it inside the S3 climate and separates it from other put-away articles. So we have talked about buckets and objects, and I hope you have understood it really well. It is important to learn how we can store data in S3 in the Amazon console. Now we will learn the steps with which we can create our Amazon buckets and store the data. We have discussed buckets and objects. Now we will create an Amazon S3 bucket. So the first step that we have to follow is open your favorite browser and come to the Amazon console. We need to search for AWS console on the search engine, and we need to click on AWS. Now we will click on the login button and enter the username and password. Now we have to log into our AWS console with our username and password. After logging in, we will click on Services, that is in the upper left corner. Next, by clicking on S3, here we will see a list of services available. Under the Storage section, click on S3. As we want to create a bucket, we will choose the option Create Bucket, and we will give a name to our bucket. The name of the bucket should be unique, and a bucket with the same name must not exist on the AWS platform. Every bucket which is available on the AWS has a unique name and does not match with any other bucket. Next, we will have to choose the region in which we want our bucket. Now, we can choose any region, but it is recommended to choose the region which is nearest to your geographic location. Now, on this screen, we can configure our bucket as per our requirements. Here we can enable versioning, which will allow us to keep multiple versions of the bucket. Here we can also add tags to our buckets, which we can use for identifying our bucket. We can also enable encryption for our bucket. Well, it is recommended to review our bucket setting before creating the bucket. After reviewing, we will click on Create Bucket. Amazing! So we have successfully created our first Amazon S3 bucket. Well, we all like a piggy bank when it is full of coins and notes. In the same way, we will not keep our buckets empty, and we will add objects to our bucket. So let us learn how we can upload an object to an S3 bucket. It is very easy to upload objects in the S3 bucket. We can upload an object to a bucket with few simple steps. The first step which we have to take is, we will select the bucket in which we want to upload our object, and we will click on Upload. Let us select the object which we want to upload by clicking on Add Files and clicking on Next. When the object is uploaded, we will keep storage class to standard and we will click on Next. S3 standard is used for general purpose storing and data is stored which we access frequently. Now we will be reviewing the settings before we upload the objects and we will click on Upload. Great, so our object is uploaded to the bucket successfully. Now we can access our objects easily from anywhere. But to make the object publicly accessible, we need to make the object public. So we need to again click the bucket and we need to click on the Permissions tab. Here we need to click on Edit in the option Block Public Access. We need to uncheck the box which is next to Block All Public Access. We will click on Save and we will save the changes by typing in the box. Now we just need to upload another object to our bucket. Next, when we will upload the object, we need to make sure that we have chosen Grant Public Read Access. That is available under the Permissions section. After we have uploaded, our work is all done. We just need to select the object and we need to click on Copy URL. And we just need to paste it in the Search tab. Great. So we see it's done. We can see the object that we uploaded, and anyone with this link can do the same because the bucket and objects, well, they are now public. We cannot store all data in one class. AWS has provided different storage classes for different storage requirements. Different storage classes are available with the users to store data in S3, and they are S3 Standard, S3 Intelligent Tiering, Standard Infrequent Access, S3 One Zone Infrequent Access, S3 Glacier, Glacier Deep Archive. It is important to understand what access points and bucket policies are. We will start with access points first. S3 access points, a feature of S3, makes data access easier for any AWS service or customer application that uses S3. Customers can use S3 access points to build individual access control policies for each access point, making it simple to manage access to shared data sets. To firewall S3 data access within customers' private networks, any access point can be restricted to a virtual private cloud or VPC. AWS service control policies can also be used to verify that all access points are VPC restricted. The second term which is important to understand is bucket policies. Policies for S3 buckets are solely tied to S3 buckets, which means they can only be attached to S3 buckets. S3 bucket policies define which actions are permitted or prohibited for which principals on the bucket, to which the bucket policy has been applied. S3 bucket policies are a form of access control list or ACL and not S3 ACLs. Every S3 bucket and object has an S3 ACL, which is a sub-resource. It specifies which AWS accounts or groups have access and what kind of access they have. Amazon S3 creates a default ACL when we create a bucket or an object, giving the resource owner complete access over the resource. To manage rights for specific objects within a bucket, we can attach S3 ACLs to them. When we have two copies of the data, we can remain stress-free because we know that if one copy is lost, we have a second one. Another important topic which we will be talking about is cross-region replication. Amazon S3 is used by users or clients in different ways. Now, clients have given input for Amazon's administration, and this is how the idea of cross-region replication was conceived. S3 objects duplicates can be made effectively in another AWS area with the assistance of cross-region replication. It can be used to copy files that are present in geographically diverse locations. At this point, cross-region replication is used by many users, and it has become one of the most used features. When cross-region replication is enabled on the bucket, an object which is uploaded to a specific S3 bucket gets automatically duplicated into a destination bucket. As the name suggests, the bucket in which it should be copied should be located at a different AWS location. The objects in the source and destination bucket get duplicated on their own. For this object replication, the replication configuration has to be added to the source bucket so that the data can be replicated easily. Now we will be talking about the features of cross-region replication. It helps flawlessly in duplicating items from an S3 bucket in a particular area to another area's S3 bucket. It tends to be implemented when both the buckets have the versioning feature enabled. At the point when an object is being replicated, starting from one container, then onto the next, data is encrypted with the help of SSL to protect it from attacks by hackers. Now we will be looking at the steps with which we can enable cross-region replication in S3. The first step is to sign into the AWS console using our credentials. So here we are on the AWS dashboard and we need to search for S3. We have to create two S3 buckets. Now we need to make sure that we have created two buckets in two different regions. We also need to make sure that we have enabled versioning on both the buckets. After we have created both the buckets and have enabled versioning in them, we need to open the source bucket. We need to look for replication under the management section. We will click on Create Replication Rule. After entering the name, we need to select Enable and we will choose all objects in the option Role Scope. Now we will select the destination bucket. As we do not have an IAM role, we will click on Create a new role and a new role for us will be created. We can select any storage class by clicking on the box in the destination storage class. Next, we will click on Save and it is all done. Now we just have to upload objects in the source bucket. We can upload any object. After we have uploaded the object, we need to click on our destination bucket. In the destination bucket, we can see the same uploaded files have been replicated. So this is how we can set up cross-region replication in our S3 section. When we download an app and we have different versions available, then users can choose the version that they like the most. Similarly, we can do versioning in S3. We will talk about how we can do versioning on the system. Versioning is like a warehouse where many articles can be kept safely. It is the same way for keeping numerous types of article in a similar S3 container. Versioning can be utilized to recover, safeguard, and retrieve each version of an item in the S3 bucket. For instance, the bucket comprises two objects with a similar key, however, with different versions. And we can use any version that we want. When versioning is enabled, we do not need to worry, as even if we delete a file accidentally, we will be able to recover it. It fulfills other two needs. First, it is important because if we want to erase an object, rather than erasing the item forever, it makes an erase marker that turns into a current form of an object. If we want to overwrite an object, it makes another version of the object and re-establishes the past adaptation of the object. Now moving to the last topic, and that is transfer acceleration. Transfer acceleration is a service that aids in fast, simple, and secure exchange of documents between one customer and the S3 bucket. The distance between the customer and S3 is generally enormous. Transfer acceleration uses Amazon CloudFront all around the world to disseminate edge areas to move records rapidly. At the point when information shows up to an edge area, it is steered to the Amazon S3 over a network path that is optimized. Additional data transfer charges may apply if we use transfer acceleration. And now we will talk about some features of transfer acceleration. Some benefits of using transfer acceleration are: over large distances, it moves data more quickly. Speed of long-distance transfers to and from your Amazon S3 buckets can be increased with S3 transfer acceleration. We get more benefit when there is more distance between our client application, like mobile, web, or upload tool, and the target S3 bucket. We should also know that we will not be charged if it is unable to speed up a transfer. Now, moving to the second benefit. It reduces network inconsistency. Transfer acceleration lets apps that connect with our S3 buckets via the S3 API from outside of our buckets region avoid internet routing and congestion. It is accomplished by routing our uploads and downloads through the AWS global network infrastructure and allowing you to take advantage of the network optimizations. Now, other advantages include it reduces the distance to S3, makes the most of our bandwidth. So in this lecture, we talked about S3 in great detail. Wonderful. Now, before we end this lecture, you have to create all the things which we have studied in this lesson, like S3 buckets, upload objects in the buckets, and enable cross-region replication. Well, I really hope that you guys thoroughly enjoyed this lecture. Also, please do not forget to write down your comments in the comment section down below. And for any queries or any sort of help, you can contact us at our email ID, which is... So that is it for now, and I will meet you all very soon in another video with yet another interesting concept. Till then, keep learning and stay safe. Bye.